So in this video, we'll look at some pointers for new operations just starting out in InfoEx on what you might want to do. So building block number one is a location catalog, and it's like a parent-child relationship. So you start with your operation area at the top of the like the parent-child tree, and then from there you build it out by adding a child location. So I'm not going to do this for real, but I might add an operating zone. So then I put the name in, and then I draw a polygon. So it might be a small part of that, and then you'd be good to add. And that's more or less what you do. You can just keep adding your children to parents as the hierarchy allows. And if you have photos, for instance, for ski runs, perhaps, then you would add them to the location catalog here. So that's the building block number one. Then it's not a bad thing to just go through the settings here. So users, you have three levels of users. So I'm going to look for an existing user. I want to add an operation administrator. So if we look for myself, there we go. So I am an existing user. So that means I can be selected to be associated with this operation. And you have the three levels of user. So administrators can do everything, including setup work. Submission moderator is the middle level, can't do setup, but is authorized to submit data permanently to InfoEx. And the baseline user is actually called user, and they can view all the data, but they can't directly submit data to InfoEx. So they can't start and submit a workflow. They can enter observations, but those observations then need to be shared within the operation for a submission moderator and an operation administrator to review and then submit if all is good. So I'm going to use an existing user. And if you search in the existing user, always do this first. Search in the existing user to see if a person has an InfoEx sign-in already. And if they do, use that to add them to your operation. If they're not an InfoEx already, then you do the same, but you're creating their InfoEx account at the same time, as well as associating them with your operation. So you put in their details there and choose their user level. So that's the users. And then you'll likely want to be doing hazard assessments, PWL assessments, snowpack assessments. So to do that, you'll create assessment locations here. So we'll call this High Sierra, and you can decide whether assessments for these assessment locations are private or shared. So we'll say they're going to be shared. So that's building block number one. And for fixed tenure operations, you may only have need for one assessment location. So we keep moving down the list. The next is a freeform template. So I'm again going to choose a location, and let's just say we'll call this a weather forecast. So you can start with some default content. So very simply, we might do something like this. So that's the template you're gonna use, and then you can either pre-fill it always with the default content, so that's what you put here, or if you want to pre-fill from whatever you actually last submitted. You have that as an option as well. And freeforms can be private or shared too. So I'm going to add this in. So we've got a freeform template now. Auto weather stations, you likely won't be integrating with InfoEx immediately. It's a somewhat more complex setup, and there are instructions there if you think you might be interested in that in the course of time. Downloading data is getting data out, so we're not at that stage yet. This is just explaining your subscription status. Typically you'd be set at awaiting renewal until you move forward. Then this is your run list status configuration. So you get these from InfoEx as a starter, and you can use them as they are or start editing them, adding new statuses, or doing whatever you want to change keyboard shortcuts or colors or the icons. Then we have in the international system, you say whether you want to be using Swag for input or Ogres, and then for report viewing, whether you want to view Swag Ogres or Ogres and Swag for assimilating data from your data sharing partners. And then we've got a map layer configuration, so you can decide which map layers in your location catalog and when you view data are available, and which is your default. Then for unit preferences, if you're in Swag, using Swag, you've got a bunch of options. For Ogres, there's more limited, and you've got a choice of 2 for each of them. And for the international system, you can in here say who you want to share your data with, and then the color coding determines if they're sharing back with you. But there's no notifications of this, so you may want to reach out to your data sharing partners outside of InfoEx to make sure that's all set up correctly. And finally, you get to configure your dashboard. So maybe you want to view yesterday's report in your as your map, and you can add more features to your dashboard here as well. So the other kind of setup that you might be interested in right off the bat is an observation template. So this is basically pulling out your favorite fields for the different observation types. So for instance, if you're in a avalanche observations, you can start choosing which fields by clicking on the fields at the left hand side to add them to your favorite fields. So once you've got what you want, then you can determine the order using the arrows on this side. So what you'll want to do is, if this features of interest for you, you'll set up these options to set up more than one template, but you don't want to do that. You want to use this single template and go through all the observation types at the top and configure your fields for each of the observation types. For the weather observations, there's an added function that if you have more than one weather site, you can create specific templates for different weather sites. So perhaps you have one weather site where you record temperatures and snow height, for instance, and maybe you've got another weather site where you record wind speeds, so you can create specific templates for them. But before you can do that, you need to go to your location catalog and add the weather sites as locations in your location catalog. So I've done a very quick job here of a observation template. So I'm going to save that, and that's now available. So there's basically two pathways to get data into InfoEx. One is through the observations option here. So in that you can add observations, and once you've done that, you've saved it. You've got two options if you're higher user level than a user. So users only have the share to operation option, whereas submission moderators and operation administrators can submit directly to InfoEx. So once you've done that, this data is in the database and is immediately available to be viewed by both everyone in your own operation and any data sharing partners you have. And if you share to operation, what happens is it moves through to the review data screen. And there's two options. Again, you can submit from here, or you can bring observations into a workflow. So let's leave that one hanging there, and we're going to set up some workflows. So typically, you might have a couple of workflows. For instance, if you have AM and PM meetings, then you might set up workflows for both of them. If you want to email the PDF of submitted workflows, this is where you set that distribution list up for your entire workflow. I'm just going to start here. And basically, you've got in the top right here all the different types of step, and it's up to you to add whichever steps you want and then order them in whichever way you might want to order them. So I'm going to do a basic setup as a starting point. So for instance, your first step, you might view a report and it's the morning, so you're interested in yesterday's data. So that could be your first step. Then perhaps you might do a freeform to do your weather forecast. So this is the template we created for the freeform earlier. So I'm going to add that in, but I'm going to need some information to do a weather forecast. So perhaps I'm going to add in some web pages. So, let's imagine this is your weather site, and you'll give it a link there, and then you can put your weather site there, and you can do multiple URLs. So we're gonna you might have two, and let's just imagine this is a different URL. So we've done that, and all right, this isn't the order we want, so we're going to drag and drop. So I'm going to take step 4, the web page, and move it above step 3. So we now have our web page and then our weather forecast. Then perhaps you might do some observations. Probably most likely a weather observation in the morning, but optionally you can add as many as you want here. Generally, you wouldn't be adding a freeform here or Snowpack summary because they have their own steps here. So with freeform, you can do special steps, and the Snowpack, you can do special steps. So the suggestion is only include Snowpack summaries or freeforms if you know what you're doing, and that is definitely how you want to structure your workflow. So we're just going to have the weather observation for now. Then I'm going to do the Snowpack steps. So you need to choose your assessment location. So that's what we set up earlier. And then typically you might do a hazard assessment step, and you can choose between individual ratings for 3 elevation bands or a single rating. And that's good. If you're doing a run list, you could add a run list step here as well. This is not going to be of very much use because we've only got one location in our location catalog. Basically, you need locations in your location catalog before this makes any sense. So you might want to configure a special report. For instance, if you've got ski runs in your run list, you might be interested in reading a report for them whilst doing the run list that has, for instance, snow profile or avalanche observations specifically for that ski run, perhaps for the last 7 days or month or whatever you configure. So you can configure a special report there, but I'm just going to drop a standard one in. And then you're into your layout, so I'm going to add a group. And basically, you've only got one location in your catalog, so that's the only one we're going to be able to rate at the moment. So you could be adding more freeform steps to here, but you'd need to have added them as freeform templates already. So I'm going to save that as an example. So if I go back to workflows, then we'll see how it is. So this is viewing report. So we have some data there from data sharing partners. Here is your web links, and you can open them all in new tabs like that. And this is your free form to put in your information for your weather forecast or whatever it is. And if you want to do a weather observation, you can do that, but you're going to get stuck here because you don't have any weather sites. You need the weather site in your location catalog to do the weather observation. Then you've got snowpack summary, PWLs, and then your hazard assessment, avalanche problems according to the conceptual model, and then your ratings for the elevation bands. And there's the run list. We've got a sad run list here with just the one location to rate. So I'm gonna delete this now. But that's your AM workflow set up, and you can repeat with your PM workflow, for instance. So again, we'll probably be kind of duplicating here. I'll just run through this quickly. So you could have a report, maybe a report from today as to what's been going on so far. Then you might do some observations. So you're doing PM weather observations. You might have some field observations from the day. So avalanche observation, field summary, avalanche summary. You might have some snow profiles from your day in the field. And then there's the terrain management. You can record how you use terrain. So that could be a kind of a good setup for the PM there. And then perhaps you're just onto your snowpack again, PWLs. So these steps, the snowpack and the hazard assessment, they auto-populate from morning to afternoon and then back to morning. So whatever you submitted in the morning will be your starting point for the afternoon. And then you might have some more free forms that you would add in, but the templates need to be created for them outside the workflow before you do it. So we'll save that. And now, if you remember, we had the observation hanging here. So we got the avalanche summary. So if we start our PM workflow, everything's more or less the same as the morning, except this observation is automatically your starting point in the observation step here. So if, for instance, you might have several members of your team submitting field observations, they could do that on either on this computer, on different computers, or on mobile devices. And then if they share to operation, all the observations for the day can be will populate into this step. So that's kind of how you group all your field observations together for the day. So hope that makes sense. So the other things maybe worth mentioning is this is the dashboard that's configurable, and if you scroll down here, there's a bit of information. There's the YouTube channel here, which this video will be added to, and then there's some specific videos here. So I don't think we're going to look at reports in detail in this video, but there are some help videos already as to how to customize and configure reports so you view the data that you want to. There's a bunch of stuff you can do here. Basically, if you look through all the different options, you can define time periods. You've got locations. So either your own location catalog, you can filter by data sharing partners, or you can draw on a map to say I want to see all the observations in a polygon, for instance. So that's kind of the high level configuration, and after that there's kind of for each table you've got filters, and you can add or remove fields, and then you can order them and use sorting as well. So that's all covered in the videos, and hope that gives a good starting point for setting up a new operation.